Myth perception number 2. A belief that we've been living by is the belief that genes control our biology. This is that story ever since 1953. We bought it. I remember 1953, the day that the Watson and Crick discovery was reported in the newspaper. The entire front page of my newspaper in New York, big block print letters right across the entire page, secret of life discovered. That the DNA story filled in the last piece of the material universe and said, you are coming from your DNA. Your DNA contains your traits, your characteristics, and determines the character of your life. And we bought into that belief system. And I said, yeah, but what's the relevance of you buying into the belief that genes control your life? Well, here's the number one big issue. As the Life magazine article illustrates, were you born that way? What does it say? It says that your traits, your behavioral traits, your emotional traits, your physical traits, all these traits are controlled by genes. And why is that relevant? Well, first of all, it's not controlled by you. It's controlled by genes. I say, yeah, but where did the genes come from? Well, they say, oh, at the moment of birth, some genes came together in that egg and sperm and created your life. I go, well, as far as you know, did you pick these traits, these genes? As far as we know, no. I say, yeah, but if you don't like the traits that you got, that you have cancer running in your family, Alzheimer's running in your family, diabetes running in your family, and these got these genetic traits, and I say, did you pick them? You go, no, I didn't pick them. I say, can you change them if you don't like them? And they go, no, I can't change them. Well, wait, you didn't pick the things that control your life? You can't change the thing that controls your life? What does that make you? It makes you a victim. You're a victim of heredity. It's sort of like, well, listen, it's just running in my family. Now I have to live with it. You know, my father died when he was 51. My grandfather died when he was 49. I'm 52. I think I'm over the limit already. I should expect to die any day now. And this is the belief that we hold. We hold the belief that we are held captive and victim by our own genes, that it's running in the family. When you buy that, then what does it mean? What does it mean in the world that we live in if you buy that to be absolutely true? It means this. Number one, genes control your life. That you have no control. You are a passive victim inside a vehicle that goes awry if something goes wrong with the system, and you had nothing to do with it. Number two, that genes determine an organism's value. How many times have you heard, oh, that person comes from less powerful genetic stock. You shouldn't go out with that person. He comes from a different genetics. And what we start to recognize that we start rating people based on their genetics. Why? Because genetics are the physical character trait controlling elements that we were provided with. Okay? And then we also then believe that we are victims of our heredity because we didn't pick the genes as far as no, can't change the genes. Genes control who we are, and therefore I'm out of control. I am not in control. You have been programmed to be victims. People told you it's the genes that did that. You had nothing to do with it. Yeah, but when you believe that, what does it do to our world? What does it do to the population when a population believes that the genes control their lives and they have nothing to do with it? It makes them irresponsible. We become irresponsible. Why should I even care? The genes are already screwed up my life and it's already over. I just might as well enjoy the rest of it and go out the door. But there's a problem. When you buy that you're a victim, what do you need? Think about it. What do you need if you're a victim? You need a rescuer. And when you have a rescuer available, then you have to pay that rescuer. And when you pay that rescuer, they're there to, what? Help you get out of the problems. And I want to tell you something. If you just look at the current situation, in the United States today, we pay twice as much money for health care as almost all the other nations in the world, and we have about the sickest population that exists on the planet. So right away, there's a disconnect between how much money you pay and how much health you get. As a matter of fact, the more money you pay, the less health you get. Maybe that's a little insight and secret you should be looking at as to how you get away with this issue. But we bought it. We bought victim. I'm a victim. I can't do anything about it. Well, guess what? They did the Human Genome Project. It was the last project in biology because they figured we know how it works. The genes control it. All I need is a list of genes. If I get a list of genes, then what I can do is I can have a patient come in the office and say, yep, you got a problem, but I can genetically engineer you with some new genes. Somebody comes in the office and said, you know, I don't sing very well. Do you happen to have a Mozart gene in that cabinet? You can give me a Mozart gene. And basically the concept of genetic engineering entered into our world, that we can change you by changing your genetics. So we did the Human Genome Project. And it was interesting because before the project got off the ground, they already knew they needed 150,000 genes minimum. You say, how did they know? And I'll tell you a simple reason. A gene is a blueprint to make a building block of the body called a protein. You have over 150,000 proteins. You need a gene to make a protein. So guess what? Do the math. 150,000 proteins, I must need 150,000 genes. And the most excited people in this were the pharmaceutical industry, because what they said, 150,000 genes means 150,000 new drugs. So they were so excited by the Human Genome Project because they were going to patent every gene and then use it for research. Well, guess what? They complete the Genome Project. Yes, indeed, they patented every gene. You don't even own your own genes. Pharmaceutical companies own your genes. But you know what's interesting? Mother Nature doesn't like that. Mother Nature doesn't really care for people who do that kind of thing. So what does she do? She threw a monkey wrench in. And the monkey wrench, when the number of genes came in and the final tally, 23,000 genes. We're missing over 125,000 genes. And basically it turns out 23,000 genes is the same number of genes as some of the lowest, smallest organisms on this planet. So the whole belief that we are genetically superior turns out to be a fallacious argument. We have the same number of genes as smaller animals on the planet. Why is this relevant? Because the whole model is wrong. Meaning, if science says you need 150,000 genes, then science has a misunderstanding about how genes work because there's only 23,000 genes. So here are all these scientists caught with their genes down going, oops, we made a mistake. But we invested so much money, we're not going to talk about the mistake because we just got way too much money into this stuff right now. So every day you still hear in the newspaper an article, a gene controls this and a gene controls that, and you're a victim because you got this gene. And it turns out all of that is false. There is no foundation for that. That it's a completely new science. The belief that genes control life led to the belief that the nucleus of the cell is the brain of the cell. And you say, well, what's the connection? I go, the genes in the cell are almost all in a structure called the nucleus. If the genes control life, then the nucleus represents the control center of life. And so we bought the belief, and it's in the textbooks right now. The nucleus is the brain of the cell because that's where the genes are that control stuff. I go, interesting story. What I say is I remove the brain from an organism, and guess what? As expected, the organism dies. And I go, wait. How about if I go into a cell and remove the nucleus, because the nucleus is the brain? This is a process called enucleation. I did a lot of this in my own research. And I say, well, what happens when you take out the brain of the cell? And the answer is nothing. The cell stays alive, the behavior is unaffected. Many cells can live for 2 or more months with no genes in it. So the belief that genes are controlling life is a total fallacious argument. Genes control nothing. I'm going to give you a fact. Genes are blueprints. They are absolutely blueprints. Why is that relevant? So I say, go to an architect's office. She's working on her blueprints over here, and you lean over her shoulder and you go, excuse me, are the blueprints you're working on, are they on or are they off? And she'll look at you like, what are you talking about? There's no on and off to a blueprint. Precisely. There is no on and off to a gene. A gene is a blueprint. And all the years you have bowed down at the temple of genes controlling your life when genes have no control. Genes can't control themselves. Genes have no self-actualization. Genes have no on, genes have no off. Genes have no awareness of what's needed, why it's needed, when it's needed. Why is this important? Well, you live in a whole world that says genes control everything, and it turns out genes control nothing. You control the genes. It's your mind and your perception that cause the genes to be selected, activated, and you can rewrite every gene in your body. You can create 30,000 variations of every gene in your body by the way you live your life. And so basically it says when you look at your health, it's not a reflection of your genes. When you're looking at your health, it's a reflection of your life, the way you are living it. It's a mirror for you. If you're not well, it's not because you're organically something wrong. If you're not well, you're not living in harmony with biology. And that's where the bottom line comes from. We are not victims of genes. Genes control nothing. The nucleus is not the brain. And the new science is called epigenetics.